We're here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You got what y'all know. I have a what's it called? A tell. Every time I do that, the people know that there's a very special guest in the building. Today we have host of Not Sam show on Sirius XM. You might have seen him on this week's A&E biography, Rey Mysterio's biography. And also our label mate, Sam Roberts in the building.
Wow, listen to that. Listen to him go wild.
Come on, man.
By the way, I do the exact same thing. Like you change up how you start the show or the segment when there's a guest because you feel like, oh, I have to sound professional now because there's somebody else actually listening when it's like there have been people listening the whole time. I mean, I interviewed somebody the other day and I was like, how do you start a conversation again?
You just gotta. When I see the red light go on, it's a different mode for me, man.
That's it.
Let's get into it though. I did a little research on you. I had to do some Googles.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Matter of fact, first
It go anyway. Like,
Yeah, I know.
before we get to the Googles, I want to make it clear that we've known Sam for a little while. Like, this isn't our first encounter with Sam Roberts. We actually
Show
ran
the
into
receipts.
Yeah, let's show the receipts real quick. We ran into Sam. Look at this. This is
Ooh.
about 2018, I believe, at a it wasn't a heat and greet at the time. I think it was Cheap Heat Live.
Yes, it was Cheap Heat Live.
We look at this group of beautiful people right here, man.
Look at the
Look at that.
silky.
Lovely.
Can you believe, by the way, that was 2018 you said,
Mhm.
and I could have sworn I was not going bald. And look at that picture. That picture says very much the opposite.
Every day I wake up and I look at the corners of my hair right here, and I'm like, boy, God, please, if you spare me, I swear on everything I love.
It looks good on you, Sam, though. You have the beard to even it out. So
Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm glad. I'm glad that I don't have some kind of horribly misshapen head. This is I feel like a good evolution, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
You look great. You know what I'm saying? It's Moxley and Jace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
ooh, we have a little doppelganger on our hands.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like I was saying before, I did some Googles, and I saw that you actually grew up in London. Is this true? Can you confirm?
Well, I spent 4 years there as a kid. So, and they were formative years.
Mhm.
So from the ages of 4 to 8, I lived in England, just outside of London in Surrey, UK. And that's where I got to go to my first live show. I went to my first live show I ever got to go to was SummerSlam 92 in Wembley Stadium 30 years ago this week. So
Wow.
I got to have the experience of an international WWE fan.
What was that like?
It's a different thing, right? Because like there is this when you're watching WWE, at least back then as a kid, like you wait for it to come on and there's a distance that you feel like that all these shows are happening all the time, but they're not happening near you, right? So like there was this thing that even though I wasn't British, like I was American that had gone to the UK, there was this thing that like the fact that the British Bulldog was there and there was somebody from the UK, it's like, okay, that feels closer. Like I can grasp that now. And then when they came to do SummerSlam, I mean, that's why people were going so crazy for it. It sold out 80,000 seats in Wembley Stadium because it was like, we don't get this here in England. Like we don't get the opportunity to go to these shows. So when it happens, everybody kind of shows up and goes nuts.
Right.
So when did you come over to the United States?
So I was born here.
Okay.
And then I moved to England when I was 4, obviously with my family. I didn't go by myself. And then we moved back after 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of that SummerSlam, do you remember, like, do any of the matches still stick with you, like, today? Or
I mean, yeah, everything. So, like, I was, like, the biggest Macho Man Randy Savage fan in the world. So seeing him come out in all the colors and the streamers and just and watching that happen, I remember like my dad was obsessed with the fact that Sensational Sherry came to the ring, because this was, I mean, 1992. This was your good 5 years away from the Attitude Era, and Sensational Sherry comes to the ring with the cheeks shaved out of her pants, you know, and, like, and so my dad's over here losing his mind for that, but that was for Shawn Michaels and Rick Martel in a match where, because Sherry had the hots for both guys, they weren't allowed to hit each other in the face. They had to go the whole match without hitting each other in the face. And then Undertaker versus Kamala, like seeing Undertaker come out in a hearse, that was kind of one of the very first sort of over-the-top spectacular entrances that the Undertaker had when he actually came to the ring in a hearse.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you know, the Bulldog and Brett in the main event. It doesn't get better than that.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you got to witness all of that.
Right.
Crazy.
Getting the experience just Wembley Stadium, and that being your first like live event ever is insane. Because
Yeah. And I mean, witnessing it on a scale that big, kind of like, and I mean, it just, the whole thing floods you. And like I said, you know, because the audience was so happy to be there. Like everybody, it was just so like, oh my God, this show is here. We can't believe it. It was just like, it was just surrounding you, you know? I mean, like my parents thought that once I saw WWE up close, like once I saw a live show, that I might know, like, oh, okay, they're not making contact with each other. Like, oh, okay, this isn't exactly, I'm not going to like it anymore. And taking me to SummerSlam 92 and thinking, oh boy, after he sees that, he might not like it anymore, was probably the missed call of the century.
Wow, that's dope. I kind of want to fast forward till today. You know what I'm saying? To today's the wrestling landscape recently has changed so much. You know what I'm saying? So much with Triple H now being in charge, head creative. How are you enjoying today's product with Triple H being in charge right now?
It's amazing, man. Like when they first made the announcement, I thought, okay, they'll probably play it safe. Like those of us that are hardcores that are watching closely will probably notice a little something here, a little something there. Oh, that's a Triple H thing. Oh, that's a Triple H thing. But for the most part, it'll feel the same, I thought. And I was wrong. Because like, by SummerSlam was what, a week after he took over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like by SummerSlam, the entire landscape is different. When people start coming back, when first names start getting thrown in, but also just like the storytelling that's going on is a much different type of storytelling, I find. Like the arcs that are taking place over entire shows, and then the arcs that take place over multiple shows. The fact that certain matches go a lot longer and are kind of competed in, I feel like almost a more realistic or athletic way. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's just it feels different. It feels new, and it almost feels like, you remember like years ago when Hunter and Stephanie and Vince and I think Shane, and they were all standing in the ring. And they did that speech where it's like, we hear you. We know things have got to change. We know. And then nothing really changed. It just kept going. Like, I feel like that spirit has kind of been bubbling inside Hunter, because I just feel like so much of what is happening on such a rapid basis right now is stuff that we've been vocally asking for like a long time.
Thanks.
Definitely. I feel like the show, for me personally, it's just, I look forward to it even more. Like, as you know, I do the podcast and everything, and it's just like, you know, sometimes after a bad Raw, it's like, I gotta tune in, I gotta see what's up now. It's like now I'm just like, oh, Raw's about to come on, let me get ready. I'm just so into these shows, and it's just like, it just keeps me coming back. I'm hooked.
Yeah, and when you have to not only watch, but like all of us do, like analyze as well. you're watching on a different level. And like there are shows and there have been shows where it's like, I don't want to look at this show that deeply because I'm just gonna get depressed by it. Like there's not, I don't want to, I'm trying to figure out, but I kind of want to move on from this one. And I feel like in the last 6 weeks, there's just been so much for us to sink our teeth into and to talk about like, oh, what'd you think of this? What do you think's going to happen here? Where do you think that's going? Why do you think that's happening? And you know, I was talking about it. I noticed it pretty early that I feel like the main difference is that just about every segment that happens, you feel like somebody asked, why is this happening? And then it was answered. And that answer is on the screen in front of us. Like, you know, like there have been times where things just happen and you're like, what? Why would that happen? Oh, it's wrestling. Just move on. And I feel like that sort of, whatever, it's wrestling. Just move on. That hasn't been there. It's been like, well, this is happening because this person did that to that, or because they want to prove to this person that like there's cohesion and reason for the stuff that's happening. And it's just good storytelling.
Facts.
Yeah. So in contrast, how do you feel about AEW?
So, you know, I try to be optimistic. Like, you know, I think that AEW is in a very interesting place because they're doing stuff as a company now that they haven't done before. You know, I feel like since their existence, they've been like, okay, we're here as a company operating to give fans exactly what they want. So it's like maybe you could predict who was going to win a match, but that was okay because you wanted that person to win the match. Like I kind of know this person's going to win, but the reason I know that is because I want them to, because that and that's kind of what we get delivered. Like, what do you want to see? Okay, that's what's going to be on the show. What do you want to see? Okay, that's what's going on the show.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into this territory where it's like, I don't know why that just happened. Like there are things happening now where you're like, what? Why would that happen? But I mean, I want to trust that that'll be answered, right? Because that's the other thing. Like maybe there is a why that we just don't know. It's possible, right?
It is.
Someday we'll get those answers of why they did that with CM Punk. Like that's what I feel like you're referring to right now.
100%. Like you have to go, okay, maybe this is like a brilliant road to turning CM Punk heel, and 3 months from now, we're all going to be wrapped up into this storyline with all this depth and go, oh, that's what was going on then. Maybe that's what's happening. Or maybe he just doesn't like Adam Page. I don't know. You know, I don't know.
That's what Cody said. I'm glad you brought up CM Punk because I think it's been is it a year or it's been about a year since he's been back. He's called himself the needle mover. Do you think the needle has moved? Has it moved forward? Has it moved backward? Is it right where it was? Do you think CM Punk has made a change in AEW?
Yeah, I think he's moved it. I mean, I think that number one, there is still this thing. CM Punk is one of those guys where AEW, once CM Punk got there, AEW became the place that you could say to somebody who hasn't watched wrestling in years, oh yeah, that's the spot where CM Punk is at. It was like, I know there's WWE, but what's the spot where CM Punk is at? You know, and like that's the level of star that I think CM Punk still is. I think that if you look at the last year, AEW is a very different company than it was a year ago or even when it first started. You know, I feel like AEW with CM Punk on top, it's just different. And it's interesting because CM Punk almost becomes what The Rock was to Punk, right? That Punk is now that person who's The Rock, and all the people that were creating this revolutionary wrestling promotion, those people are in the CM Punk position now, where it's like, yeah, I get what you're doing, and you guys are great, but you're not CM Punk, and Punk wants to do this, so that's where we're gonna go. I think that in terms of being a needle mover and a person who changes things, yeah, AEW is a very different company. I think it's up for debate whether it was for the better or the worse. I think ultimately it's for the better. I think that most, if you look at numbers, I would not say that AEW has had a bad year whatsoever. So yeah, I don't think that they're quite at that spot where it's like, boom, AEW is nipping at the heels of a WWE. But I do think that the company is in a very interesting spot where there's sort of this young company that is starting to take shape. And maybe that shape is different than what they originally thought it would be. But that's kind of what happens with companies sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, like plus you adding they're adding people all the time. You getting these names and coming back, so things change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to pivot away, from Punk for just a second. This weekend we have obviously a very huge wrestling weekend. The Clash at the Castle, All Out, Worlds Collide. And there's some high profile matches happening. So I want to get your thoughts on. First off, what match do you think will steal the weekend? That's a hot take. I want to know from Sam Roberts what match he thinks will steal this weekend on either side.
Wow. Well, I almost wish I had like every match right in front of me. You know what? I do. I was doing my podcast on Tuesday. I have every match right in front of me. So okay. All right. So let me see. I think a lot depends on that we don't know what the main event of All Out is, right? Mox is going to defend against somebody. I'm assuming that that's going to be a really big match. I don't know if it'll steal the weekend. I think on that side of things, I don't know if anything. I mean, the casino ladder match is going to be great. I think Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy is going to be really, really good. I'm looking forward to Ricky Starks having a really like that first big. Okay, this might be the top babyface in the promotion within a year type of match because I just think that Ricky Starks is the stuff that he's been doing is unreal. But in terms of stealing the weekend this weekend, I think you got to look at Seth and Riddle because they stole the week. They stole the week with half a promo. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about it. I think there's some really, really good stuff happening at Worlds Collide. I think that Carmelo Hayes versus Ricochet is going to be one of those sleepers where it's like we're going to think the weekend's kind of done. We're talking about All Out or we're talking about Clash at the Castle, and then Melo and Ricochet come and have this match that we go, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
And then and then, dude, Roman and Drew are going to, who might steal it? Roman and Drew are going to destroy each other. They're going to tear each other apart. But I think the two that people are going to be talking about are Seth versus Riddle, and I think Gunther versus Sheamus is going to have everybody
That's
going.
That's going to be a good one.
Oh my God!
I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that one. That's a good pick.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I cheated. I had all the matches like right here. Yeah, I'm gonna look at. I'm looking at Gunther Sheamus. I'm looking at Rollins Riddle, and I'm looking at Melo versus Ricochet.
I have a question. This is just for me personally. You mentioned the All Out card and a match you did not say. Jericho versus Daniel Bryan. Well, Bryan Danielson, excuse me. How do you feel about Jericho at this stage in his career? You think he has potential to turn back the clock, give us a nice little fire match at All Out, or how you feel about Jericho?
I think Jericho's amazing right now. I love Jericho right now. I love watching this guy evolve. I love that his character evolves. I love that he evolves physically. I love that his style evolves. The only reason I don't have Danielson and Jericho as my potential to steal the weekend is I wish there was 6 weeks of story that was building up that match. I guess there kind of is, like all the Garcia and Bryan stuff leads into the Jericho stuff, and I get that. But I feel like if there was a real blood feud behind Jericho and Danielson, that could main event a pay-per-view. Like that I there's not enough story for me to sink my teeth into to get emotionally invested. Like that's why I look at the Riddle Rollins match. Like there's so like you're just so fired up by how real that they got on Raw. Or even the I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was like a minute and 8 seconds, and it's a video that they put out on Drew McIntyre's Twitter account, and it's just McIntyre and he's working out and his old theme music is playing. And it's just shot in such a way where you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for this match on Saturday. And it's a minute long. Sometimes that's all it takes. But yeah, the only thing that I think is holding Jericho and Danielson back is that there's not a deeper story going into it.
Somebody talk to me nice.
And everything I do, I don't do. I do the other thing. Everything I go across the street that way, I'm going up.
TTMN.
Sam, on this show, we have a segment called TTMN, and it stands for Talk to Me Nice. And right now, we want to talk to you nice. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice, quick, rapid fire. You feel me? We throw some questions at you, and you answer them to the best of your ability, all right?
Okay.
All right, so we'll start with something light, all right? What is the greatest wrestling theme song in history to you?
Something like
Okay. I like My Time. Triple H's My Time to me is so good, not only because it's got that opening lick that every song needs, like the Undertaker's gong, Stone Cold's glass shattering, that wow, 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 like everybody knows immediately. But the lyrics are telling the story of this guy's career and how he got to the place where it is his time. And it's that right before he becomes the game. You know, it's just My Time does it for me.
Not mad at that. That's up there for me. I'll hold that. You feel me? And high
Triple
regard.
H has like all of his themes, like the game, the evolution, the King of Kings, all his theme songs is just fire. All of them.
Okay, I did a podcast once analyzing Triple H's themes, because for my money, Triple H is the only wrestler that if you just used his theme music, you could do a musical that tells the entire story of the character. Like if you played those themes back to back, starting with the Hunter Hearst Helmsley song, the Greenwich Blue Blood instrumental, into that Beethoven that's a little tougher, into the D. Like if you go through all of his themes and played them back to back, and you just listen to the music, it tells you the story all the way up to the King of Kings.
That's a fact.
That's I never thought of that. That's
Look at that. Full circle.
Perfectly. It definitely does.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Question 2. You said you spent about 4 years growing up in London. Were you a fan of soccer growing up?
No, I mean I played a little bit of soccer as a little kid, but no.
Okay.
I don't really like any sports.
Thank God. I thought you were going to tell me you were a Manchester United fan. The interview would have to be cut short. Like you said, I'm just keeping it real.
No, I need entertainment with my sports. I can't do it otherwise.
I'm not mad at you. Like I said, I did the Googles. And I know you're a memorabilia kind of guy. You like to collect things. What do you have that is your most prized possession?
The Holy Grail?
Yeah, what's the Holy Grail for Sam Roberts?
Oh man.
Around the room. Hold on.
Yeah, because I want to show you. Okay, like you can kind of see the top of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
I have Mick Foley's flannel from WrestleMania 2000 right there. I love that. I have JBL's hat behind me. It's the hat that he wore when Punk threw the shot of whiskey at his face, and the whiskey stain is still on the underbrim. But
wow.
Okay, this this is just out, by the way. I did not know that I was going to do this. This right here.
Oh shit.
You're just
This
showing
is,
off, Sam.
This is an acrylic on velvet. This is velvet. It's a velvet painting. This is a straight painting of The Rock that I bought at an art show in Los Angeles. And the reason that I love it so much is because I knew the guy that was putting on the art show. And like he said, okay, here's what I'm going to be showing. And I said, I immediately I saw this rock and I was like, I'll pay you right now, whatever it is. I need that rock picture. And he goes, oh wait, hang on.
This.
Plugging my
There we
hose.
go.
I got my buttons too. But yeah. So I was like, okay, my order's in for it. We're good. So I got to the art show to, go like, okay, yeah, it's spoken for. And the guy who was running it told me, he's like, dude, he was like, somebody just walked in here and asked if they could buy the painting for $7 so that they could put it in The Rock's like office because it was in LA. And I had to tell him it was already spoken for. And I was like, I got you, Rock. I got your painting. But as I've said before, if The Rock would like the painting for his office, that's fine. He'll just have to come over and pick it up himself.
$50 million. Sam, look, I too am a collector of memorabilia. So if you would like to trade, I have this game worn Rey Mysterio mask, as you see.
Game worn?
Game worn, 100%.
Oh, wow.
100% authentic.
He was at Rucker playing ball in it. Like, game war. Like,
if you're interested in the trade, we'll talk off air.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Sam was like, keep that bullshit.
Game worn. No, he wore it.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's real, 100%. Trust me.
His sweat's in there still. Trust me.
Last question. This is a curveball. Does sugar belong in grits?
I think sugar actually does. Sugar does belong in grits. I think, adding it just makes it feel like a more of a treat. It makes it. I feel like sugar being added to grits almost makes it so that you can slow it down, enjoy it. It's a Sunday, sit down and take your time with your breakfast and reflect back on it and go, that was good. I think.
Ladies and
I like
gentlemen. Hold on. I can't do that without giving you a round of applause. What kind of Sam Roberts, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Sam, man, we thank you for making time for us, for coming on the show. Like I said, we're label mates now, so this isn't the last time we contact you to do something.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm happy to. Thanks for having me.
Man, of course. Before you get out of here, do you want to let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, of course. Not Sam Wrestling comes out, another Blue Wire pod every Monday. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find Not Sam Wrestling. And who knows, maybe I'll be having some other theory about some other wrestlers whose theme songs could be turned into a musical. I don't know. Every week is a mystery. You could also find my wrestling YouTube channel, Not Sam Wrestling, if you go to YouTube/Not Sam Wrestling and hit subscribe. And I'll be on the kickoff show for Worlds Collide this weekend. So if you tune into Worlds Collide 30 minutes before it starts, 3:30 Eastern on Sunday on Peacock, you can see me.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
Nice. There we go.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.